Last year, in 2017, People to People helped support food assistance, clothing assistance to about 15,000 Rockland households. Of that, about 40 to 45% of them are run by single mothers.
They cut my whole family to $300, $312. There's 5 of us.
A kid who's having a hard time, a kid who hasn't had breakfast in the morning, a kid who doesn't have homework help, or a safe place to be after school is a kid that's going to be difficult in the classroom. And it's going to be hard for that child to learn, but then it's also going to be hard for other children to learn.
And really what we've tried to do here is build an organization that treats everybody with courtesy, respect, and dignity.
As soon as I got here, I met Diane once. I told her I needed a little help. I got all the help I needed, and she didn't even really know what was going on. It was immediate help to my family.
Working with the folks at Center for Safety and Change, we know that when a woman leaves an abusive home, she leaves her money behind, she leaves her belongings behind, she takes her kids and pretty much runs for her life. So these are folks that really need help with basic needs.
My kids felt they were so welcoming here. They weren't embarrassed. I would not have been able to feed them at all any fresh food. And then my kids are seriously developing health problems because I can't afford to give them the kind of food they need.
We need to be a little bit more vocal about this. Nobody wants to admit that there's hunger in a relatively affluent community. What we've done here at People to People through our board members, through our volunteers, through the Get Saucy Gang, M&T, Nyack Center, all of these folks they're our army. They're the hunger warriors. They're out there in the fight against hunger to help make people understand that this is a significant and painful and totally unnecessary issue. People shouldn't be going hungry in Rockland County. The last time there was a cut to the SNAP benefits, we were impacted significantly because when suddenly people who rely on food stamps to put food on their table are told that instead of getting $100 a month, they're going to get $60 a month, well, where do you think they're going to go to make that up? They're going to come to us. They've done it before, and I'm afraid they're going to do it again.
Despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary, many still claim we spend unnecessarily on food programs. Fraud, they maintain, is overrunning the system and believe the program is there for the free ride it offers to scammers. In fact, the frequency of fraud in the SNAP system is extremely low. What overruns the system is the 42% of all food manufactured in the U.S. ending up in landfills. A child has little ability to commit fraud, and a senior falling on hard times after a lifetime of work deserves our help.
This is a very expensive place to live. Almost all of our families are working, and yet most of them are at or below the federal income guidelines for poverty. So even though they're working, they're worried about paying rent, they're worried about food for their children, they're worried about a safe place for them to be while they're working.
The judgment thing, my clothes come from Goodwill. They don't realize that. They might see somebody dressed nice using a food stamp card. They don't realize they're buying their clothes at Goodwill or they're being donated for them to look for a job.
We should be feeding the people that need food. This is the greatest nation on earth. We have so much, and there's so many that have so little. So why can't we do something about that?
I don't have the funds to be able to provide food over the weekend for the kids in the bag program that I was talking about earlier. So we rely on People to People to do that. It's delivered every Friday, and then our kids have food for over the weekend.
According to one study, the lost productivity, along with extra health and crime costs stemming from child poverty, add up to about $500 billion a year, or 3.8% of our GDP. Another study found eliminating child poverty between birth and age 5 would increase lifetime earnings between $53,000 and $100,000 per child, for a total lifetime benefit of 20 to 36 billion for all babies born in a given year.
It's what People to People does. We are Rockland County's primary hunger relief organization. So no matter how many people come here, we need to be ready to feed them.
We have families who have a hot plate as a way of, heating food or making food. We know that families live in substandard situations because it's what they can afford. All parents love their children. All parents want what's best for their children. And in fact, the children who are at Nyack Center are there because their parents love them, right? And they want them to be in a safe place. And they want them to be able to have a nurturing environment to start the day and to have breakfast.
There's a million things people can do to help us. They can do food collections. They can write letters to the editor. But what really helps the most, quite honestly, is money. We can't do this without resources. And we are asked to do more and more and more every day with less and less and less. And it's a little scary for me because I feel personally responsible. And I know our board feels that way. So we need to make sure we generate the financial resources we need to make sure nobody goes to bed hungry in this county. And I get a little worried sometimes that I don't know that we're going to be able to do that.
The truth is before us. More than 30,000 Rocklanders are food insecure tonight, and there are no realistic plans for how to help them, with the exception of our own hard work and the generosity of compassionate individuals throughout our area. We must be the ones to make sure our hungry neighbors are fed.
It broke us. It broke the whole family. We wound up sitting in an empty house in Newburgh on air mattresses because I couldn't afford anything. The whole ceiling collapsed. We were listening to gunshots. I couldn't feed them. I lost it. I shattered into a million pieces. I'm getting better about the crime. Mommy, I'm hungry. Mommy, I'm hungry. There's nothing to eat. And after everything I went through and they went through with him burning everything and them losing everything, how do you think that makes a parent feel?